it lightly. So that's another one I'm leaning towards on the little ones. Now let's get back to the big ones where I can talk a little more freely about it, because obviously I don't know much about those small conferences, if not at all. But I read around and I check up and I do what I can. I try to follow somewhat. But back into the bigger ones before we get the call to Evan here. Let's talk about BC, Florida State. Obviously, BC, not only did their football team, and I think I heard this on Jeff's show, I think Ryan mentioned this, not only did Boston College's football team not win a conference game, but neither did their basketball team. And now they got a Florida State team, young team, Bacon, can shoot the lights out. Total at 138, Florida State at a -13 in this one in their first matchup. And I do believe it was Florida State's, let me check some. I think it was Florida State's second game of a road trip. Let's see, they were at Pittsburgh. No, it was sandwiched in between a bunch of home games there where they went out to BC, had their worst shooting performance of the year. They shot 39%. And they still won by 10 points. Now, you look at Boston College. Obviously, we talk about their struggles, and there's not much to really talk about. They lost by 16 in their last game to Clemson. Both of their guards are out. They're going to have, not only is, we have some that were injured, but now we have one with the flu. One has a concussion. I don't know how they're going to cover these young guards for Florida State. I really don't. They haven't been scoring much, both real slow-templed games. But against NC State and Georgia Tech, they did cover the number. They kept it fairly close. I don't know how much those meant, but again, they weren't missing. They're basically third and fourth string guards now. I mean, they're deep into the guard pool. I think they struggled today against Florida State. I hate laying points in these conference tournaments, however. It might just be a stay away for me. But if anything, I do like Florida State. Maybe even tease. I don't want to tease a 13. That's a terrible thing to tell you, so we'll not do that. What's up, everybody? I hope everyone can hear me out there. I hope so. Either way. Let's get into it then. So we talked about that. We talked about Morgan State +2, the NCCU -5. If you're on the chat box, let me know. Let me know how the sound is before we call in our guest. I know there's a few of you out here. If you could just send me a note, let me make sure everything's sounding all right. I would appreciate it. It is an early start. I don't have the normal people that I can talk to about that. So if you can help me out, I would appreciate it. So we got about 10 more minutes. So I guess we'll continue on in college basketball. Let's see. What do we got? Princeton, be careful. This Penn and Princeton one, really, I don't know. Thanks, John Jensen. This Princeton Penn had a disappointing year. They were supposed to be better than they were. Princeton obviously out of it. The Ivy League, it's over. This is a makeup game. It's not senior night. It's not anything. It really doesn't mean much at all for either team. I don't know. I'm sure Penn would love to finish, off with a big win against Princeton, but I'm not interested in it. I feel like that one can go either way. Texas San Antonio against Florida Atlantic. Here's another one. Both awful teams. 5-26 for Texas San Antonio up against Florida Atlantic at 7-24. What to say about these two? I mean, they're just god awful. First, we'll start with Florida Atlantic. They haven't won a game since they've beat Texas San Antonio early in February by 6 points. They beat them twice this year. So, how easy it is to beat a team 3 times in a year? Not very easy. But we are talking about a bad Texas San Antonio team who hasn't won. They did beat Southern Miss at home. I'm not sure if they even have a win this year outside of home. They went to Southern Utah, so geez. The one thing going for them is they have covered 3 of the last 4, but they were getting double digits, and most of those games did not matter. Good luck with this one. You're on your own. I'm not even going to begin to give an opinion on it. It's just a terrible game. And that's sort of the theme here today as we go through this, other than obviously Gonzaga St. Mary's. Great game against BYU. Gonzaga stepped up. I can just see them winning this game, and then all of a sudden, Gonzaga's everybody's trendy pick in their brackets. But good luck with that because, they still are who they are. They shot the lights out last night. Can they do it again against St. Mary's? It's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. I will say this. What is the total on this? I got to go back to get the total here. Let's see. What is the total they got out? It's so early I can't get it. Half the lines. What do we got? 135 down to 132 now. That's a tough one. Obviously, if you watch that game, taking the under with a Gonzaga game right now doesn't seem to be easy. But at the same time, the last 7 times these guys played, all 7 have gone under, including a 63-58 win about 2 weeks ago in Gonzaga for St. Mary's. And then St. Mary's beat them at home this year 70-67. And the best part about that, right, the 70-67, Gonzaga shot 60% in that game. They only had 49 shots. They only got to 67 shooting 60%. But, it's tournament. Things happen. The second game, they get to 58 by shooting 35. They got 62 shots in that one at home. They like playing where they're playing. I feel like they get a few more shots here, but I like St. Mary's in this one. They should probably take it home. What do we got for a line on it right now? Sorry, I got to click around. Yeah, they're getting 2.5. I would almost wait on that. You might even be able to get 3 later on. That's something that, you might want to take a look at as we go forward. Let's see. Next one, the Northern Colorado Portland State. I'm going to hold off on talking about that one because, Jesus, I'm losing this one too. Let's see. 4.5. Okay, I guess we can talk about this one. I like Portland State. I can't send it out now because I just lost the line. It's up to 4.5, 5 in some spots. It was just 3.5 about 20 minutes ago. So sort of lost that. But getting into it a little bit because I do like it. And so I guess it's going to be a free play here. You look at Portland State, 12-7 on the year. I get it. Northern Colorado, 10-20. Both teams not good to say the least, but that's what you're going to get. Some bad matchups here and there. You look at this Northern Colorado team, notoriously against good offenses. When I say good offenses, I'm talking about point output because Portland State just wants to run it up and down your throat. They average a little over 77 points a game. And just for the record, they dropped 89 on them and 91 on them this year. So you look at that combined with the fact that Northern Colorado against good offensive teams this year, meaning scoring 77 points or more, they're 0-3 ATS and straight up. You go back 3 years, 0-4 ATS and straight up. You go back since 1997, they're 0-7 ATS against teams that score 77 plus points a game. Good offensive teams. Straight up 1-11 overall in those games. And when I say good ones, I'm talking like after 15 games, not because they played someone when they were 1-0. We're talking, what are their records after 15 games? When they play poor defensive teams such as Portland State, they also struggle. Since 97, 2-8 ATS against poor defensive teams. So sort of a double whammy on that end, right? But again, you're not getting a great team here in Portland State. Although I will say this, they're 12-7, right? They were 8-16. They went 4-1 in their last 5, scoring on average of 90 points a game in that one. I might have to just send the bad line at 4.5. I wish I could do it now. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait, and this line could really get away. But maybe I don't know what to do with that one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one in my boat where I'm sitting. Um, because obviously I want to send it out to the clients, but at the same time, I don't want to keep sending bad numbers. But they move so quick these days, you got to really get on them. Also, the other one I was looking at going back to the Morgan State was the under. That one went down 3 points also, but I do like the under in the Morgan State game. Maybe even if you can find one, the Eastern Shore team total under, that would sort of combine both of them in, but I do like the under in that one. You got Fair Dickinson, which we made some money on, going up against the 1 seed in the championship game in Wagner. They're 9.5-point favorites. We'll get into that one. But right now, we're going to give Evan Drellich a call here and talk a little Houston Astros here. We'll see if we can get him going. Hopefully that's all right. Did I just lose him? There we go. John, let me know how the sound sounds also once he answers if you can.
Hello?
Hey Evan, Sean Harnish calling up in Boston. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. Yep, that's perfect. I know you're busy.
Cool.
I know you're busy, so we'll keep it short today. And I appreciate you coming on. I really do.
Yeah.
Let's talk first, obviously, about Houston's pitching staff. Obviously, Keuchel coming off Cy Young, pitching a ton of innings. McCullers, sophomore season, sort of. Fister, McHugh, Fires. Not sure exactly what they're doing with Feldman, but are they overall pitching staff? Are they sort of, and especially with Keuchel, are they sort of going easy with him this spring, or are they just letting him do his thing?
No, so we actually haven't seen Keuchel pitch in a Grapefruit League game yet. His first start is tomorrow. McCullers is probably going to pitch on the weekend. He hasn't pitched in a game yet either. They're being careful with these guys after the high workload of last season. Mike Fires, who had a career-high 180, I think a third innings last season, only made his first start yesterday. So they are being careful, and it's by design. And, you asked about Feldman. It's my opinion that if Feldman and Fister both show that they are healthy and kind of where they've been in the past in terms of capability, that they probably would start in rotation, which might leave Fires as the odd man out.
Right.
But it's those three guys for the last two spots there, Fister, Fires, Feldman.
All right, excellent. Yeah, and then you go to the bullpen. Obviously, Giles comes in, flamethrower. He's coming from the Phillies, though. The question is, obviously, and we won't know this until if they make the playoffs. I'm going to be a bit of a contrarian today. Just for the record, I do like Houston for the record this year. But, obviously, I got some questions, and you're the guy to ask, sort of. So the point being, hasn't been tested really. How's the bullpen overall? How's the feel around that? I know you guys, are fairly deep, but experience-wise, not so much, I guess I could say.
Yeah, well, the bullpen last year, if you look at it, up until the final month and then into the playoffs, it was a very good bullpen. It was one of the best in the majors, and I think the overall ERA was still very good. And a lot of that had to do with how pitchers were used. They never had that overpowering arm, which is why the Giles acquisition was important. And Giles is something of a wild card here in so much as we haven't seen him in that final role on a winning team, right? We've seen him be a closer in Philly, but you got to see him do it in a different environment. He's got to kind of prove himself to new teammates. And he's the youngest in a veteran bullpen, right? Gregerson, Sipp, Harris, Neshek. I mean, all these guys have been around. So Giles is kind of the outlier of the group, both in terms of stuff and in terms of experience. So he had a rough first outing. It doesn't mean anything really in spring training, but I do think he has to show that he's throwing well to earn the closer's job right out of the gate. The good thing about Giles is he was throwing 94, 98 in the first outing, and last year his velocity took a while to show up. So it's good to see his velocity there.
Sure. What about Neshek? I know he sort of had a rough season with his foot all year. It sort of showed a little bit.
He sort of lost control at the end of the year there. Surgically repaired.
Yeah, sure.
Everything doing all right with him?